Hello, I'm broadcasting from Rio Othon Palace in the heart of Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro, the marvelous city. I've got here Dr. Florian Kongoli, and we're going to talk about Day 4 of CIPS 2018. Doctor, tell us a little bit about how was Day 4 of CIPS 2018, please.
Again, it was excellent. I continued the third part of my opening, thematic opening that I do every day. So when the GPS came for the first time, I used to hear, it's too much, we don't need, we know the roads. Anybody don't use it, is here in the room that do not use anymore GPS? Everybody's using every day. So why? Because it liberates your thinking. You don't need to think where I'm going and how I'm going. It helps. Sure, it can be abused, different story, but this is up to us. And that day was the part of science as a solution, as a groundbreaking and a solution provider. I explained why science is a ground disruptor, but this is only half of the role of science and technology. Ground disruptor is when you diagnostic the problems, or like we are diagnostic now. I mean, we have diagnosed it for the last 100 years. Now we are diagnosing the problem of CO2 emission and global warming, or global climate change, whatever you call it. But this is ground disruption role of science. The issue is, it's 50% of the role of science, and the 50%, the other 50% has been overlooked, which is solution provider. It's a ground solution provider. And I gave several examples why science is a ground disruptor, but at the same time a solution provider. As we see right now, people are more focused on science and technology as a diagnostic tool. Politicians are started to say that science, we should make some science-based decision, which means that they're taking the diagnostic of science and then they try to take decision. But be careful, rarely the decision are based on science. And this has been not now, this has been over the last 100 years. Diagnosis has been already correct, but the solution have never sought in science. And what happened? Science slowly and quietly, without big noise, found the solution, and is going to find the solution, and I explained this very well, I guess, in my presentation. And this presentation is also in developing, and I'll add more subjects, new subjects on it in the future years. And then the first plenary presentation, it was our chance to get to know the incredible work of Professor Murad. He has been 1998 Nobel Prize in medicine, biochemistry. He was he discovered nitric oxide in biological signaling. Why are you saying biological signaling? Nitric oxide was known before. It's not something that was a new one. But what is interesting, nitric oxide was considered a polluted substance, taken from the burning of the cars, fires, etc. So the regulations until the time was we have to limit the amount of nitric oxide in the atmosphere and in the daily life. However, the discovery of Professor Murad was to change, to see the positive role of this substance in the in the human organism. It was signaling, meaning a lot of effects, good effects, positive effects, coming from using the nitric oxide in the human body. And there are many applications since his discovery in signaling in 1998, where he got the Nobel Prize. The development of arginine, development of a lot of other products like Viagra, etc., which has been taboo subject, but Professor Murad always has been star people in any event like to ask him about Viagra, which actually his discovery is much more than that. But also Viagra is today used by athletes to perform, etc. It's not anymore the origin why it was discovered. It is an application of nitric oxide. It's simply an application of the discovery in biological signaling. And that's why it was interesting. Again, how science helps the society, the human being, improve the quality of life. That's sustainable. That's sustainability. Developing developing the society and the improving the human life. So in order to be sustainable, you have to protect the environment, you have to have a low cost, develop the economy, and develop the society. If you don't develop the economy and society, only protecting the environment, it doesn't help. Then we had to announce a very sad story. Professor Thomas Stites, our Nobel Prize winner in 2009, passed away just 3 weeks before our conference. I was communicating with him and he told me that he is undergoing a series of treatment and he might not make it. When you hear a series of treatment, it spells bad news, meaning that could be cancer, could be anything. But I never thought it would be so short. In about a month and a half, he passed away because of pancreatic cancer. But unfortunately, because he asked his secretary to send me his presentation in a video from one of his previous presentations, and we did a homage for him during this plenary session. Also, having access to the Othon presentation. She is the co-author, Professor Yonah is co-recipient of a Nobel Prize with Thomas Stites. So combining both these two, it was kind of a homage for Thomas Stites, which means again that the Nobel Prize winners are still human, and science has a lot to go before solving these issues of cancers that kill people so fast, including Nobel Prize winners, as sad news. After that, we had presentation from Professor Mamalis. We mentioned a little bit before the presentation of in the previous day about new materials and their use for sustainable development. That is first part. You might have materials, but it's not enough. You need also manufacturing. So new materials need new manufacturing. If it's a new material, the manufacturing process changes completely. So it's part of sustainability. So you need that, and this was the subject of Professor Mamalis. New ways of manufacturing of these new materials, of new sustainable materials. To complete the picture was the presentation of Professor Rolands. Very interesting presentation. He calls it an unreasonable use of mathematics in physics. But why is important this presentation is because physics used mathematics. Although physics is a specific part of science, it uses mathematics. But using mathematics in physics is a challenge. Coordination between physics and mathematics is not always, clear and straightforward. So his view on this subject was very interesting. So we completed the picture from very theoretical to applying mathematics in physics and how physics helped the society. So basically we completed the entire cycle. So that makes this all this presentation during plenary lectures a close cycle of what we wanted to know. What we wanted to present. Basically, science has no border, no geographical border, but also there is no border between various disciplines of science, something I've been keeping saying in all our SIPS conferences. The division of science and in different disciplines comes from our ignorance in the past. Basically, there is no division, there is no border. It's a one. Sure, with their specifics and their characteristics, but it's only one. And this is one of the purpose of the summit: unifying the science, making it accessible and bringing them a level to the simple people, in order for them to understand how science helps them, and humanizing the science, and making it popular, like something people would love to speak about, would love to have a coffee and speak about it, etc. So this is, I think, we are in a good position to say that we are advancing all these issues with CIPS series of summits.
This was day 4 of CIPS 2018. It was a pleasure having you. Stay tuned.